Hey, it's Don. Welcome to Silver Cyclists. I hope that you all are having a terrific week. As my British friends would say, and I'm thinking of Mark Frost and Leonard Lee and Juliet Elliott, Katie Kookaburra, Francis Kay, Lawrence Carpenter, and so many others, notable internet cyclists in the UK, they would characterize today as chucking it down, and it is indeed raining to beat the band outside. So it looks like it's going to be a swift day for me today, and right now I'm appropriately in the kitchen because I thought what we do for a little bit here before I jump out on my Zwift session is talk a little bit about the other side of the health equation. On one side you've got fitness, and that's obviously a more enjoyable subject probably, and something that we're all gravitated towards here on this channel. But the other side of that coin is food. So there's no escaping it. It's often been said, and it's very true, that no amount of good exercise will overcome a bad diet. That's just really unfortunately true. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about my philosophy and how it's treated me, and why I think you might consider it. I'm not going to belabor this, but I have a extensive reading list, somewhat of a hobby of mine, so I've spent boatloads of discretionary income on books on iBooks that are on the nutritional subject: veganism, whole food, plant-based eating, starting with the China Study, T. Colin Campbell, and going on through a great number of books. But I want to bring three to your attention. The first is a book called Veganist by Kathy Freston. Kathy is married to a guy named Dan Butner, and Dan wrote The Blue Zones, and the Blue Zones are those areas of the world that have the highest concentration of centenarians. So they make a tremendous team, and her book, Veganist, I think is a very accessible, first read look at whole food, plant-based eating, what, why, how, where. She's a delightful author, terrific on TV, a great TV personality as well. And if you watch the Rich Roll podcast, she has a segment there with Rich Roll, the ultra marathoner, and I highly recommend that. It's really a good hour with Kathy and Rich. The second book is How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Dr. Michael Greger, very well-known doctor within the vegan, whole food, plant-based community. Very down-to-earth, very science-based. He runs a website called nutritionfacts.org, and everything that he purports or is questioned about, he can point to medical literature, and he completely bases everything on science, on scientific results. And then if it doesn't pass muster, then he chucks it out and approaches it a different way. And the third one is called The Longevity Diet. It's by a doctor named Walter Longo. Walter is the director of the Longevity Center at USC. And this book is really interesting. It is looking at not only whole food, plant-based eating, but his Dr. Longo's background in longevity science in particular, food and calorie restriction, which originally started out with mice and rat studies, and has had some experimentation with people, but he really takes that and moves much more into kind of the sweet spot between these three books, and that is, a whole food, plant-based approach, doing the things, eating the things that make the most sense from a scientific viewpoint, and then tailoring them towards getting the most longevity you can as healthily as you can. It makes no sense to just extend life just to have extra years if those years are not healthy or happy. And I really believe that the one thing that anybody in the sort of silver cycling mindset is to maximize those years that we have. The decades ahead, we want to be healthy and happy and moving and able to do everything that we want to do. And so these three books do that the longevity diet really good. And I went from, it's been like 4 years now that I've been vegan. I had 30 years in the Navy. I ate I mean, you name it, I ate it. Chili mac out there, you know what, and all the other things that come with Navy food. So, you know, you eat what you're served, and if you're hungry and tired enough, it all tastes good. But for the last 4 years, I have moved to a whole food, plant-based diet. It has been very successful for me. It lowered my cholesterol 50 points in the first 60 days that I was doing it. I feel terrific. I have more energy than I've ever had. But when I read the longevity diet, Dr. Longo makes a compelling case that if you're A, over 65, or B, an athlete, and I consider myself both of those, that it is a reasonable approach to add some seafood, some fish, back into your diet 2 to 3 times a week. And so a year ago, I did that, and that has also been successful. So it not only adds some variety. I live in Rhode Island, and you know, we've got tremendous seafood here, so it's nice to be able to add some local fish and lobster and mussels and scallops, etc., back into the diet. That's great. But I also do think that adding that little bit of protein, if you're exercising 4 or 5 times a week, as I am, is really helpful. So it's a very personal decision, and there's nothing that we could possibly talk about with regard to food and diet, what you eat and drink, that is not highly controversial. You know, for as my friends know, I went through a paleo phase, and I frankly felt pretty darn good doing that. But my cholesterol was too high. Did not want to go on medication, and so I chose to look around, and that led me down this path. And so right now, I think I've really found the best way forward. And there are adherents on both sides. I don't have any experience with keto. I know people like keto because it does promote weight loss. I personally don't think it's particularly healthy over the long run because of the heme iron and the cholesterol issues, the lipid panel. I don't think that's a good long-term solution. But again, this is a very personal thing. So in terms of keeping your weight where you want it, keeping the energy balance that you need to do the things that you want to do, whether that's travel or exercise or just getting through your daily life, the things that you choose to eat and drink have a tremendous effect on your ability to do those things. So with further ado, I'm going to just close this out. It's going to be a short video today. I just wanted to address these things. As I say, it's raining, beat the band. I want to wish all of my US-based subscribers a very, very happy Thanksgiving. And those of you that are outside the US, in Europe and Asia, I would also promote this holiday. It's a uniquely American holiday, but I think it's the nicest holiday, frankly, of the year. It gives us all time to reflect. And I wish you all the very best as we enter the true holiday season. And let's get out there and stay fit. For me, it's going to be the Tempest Fugit course on Zwift. I'm going to get myself warm out in the virtual desert. And I will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.